Evan and I grew up together. Everyone said we were childhood sweethearts. A match made in heaven. Everything changed when Jacob presented as an alpha and started treating me with cold indifference. When my family went bankrupt, he didn't hesitate to call off our engagement. It was Logan who took me in when I had nowhere else to go. Later, when I confronted Jacob with another alpha's high-tier pheromones clinging to me, his eyes turned bloodshot. "You're my omega," he growled through clenched teeth. "How dare you be with someone else?" Logan chuckled darkly. "Your 95% compatibility means nothing against fated mates." The day I presented as an omega, both our families gathered to take us for pheromone compatibility testing. I stood trembling in the hospital corridor, desperately praying for high numbers. Maybe then Jacob would stop freezing me out. Everyone knew alphas and omegas eventually succumbed to high compatibility, even if they started off disliking each other. Jacob leaned against the wall with practiced nonchalance. "Why are you so worked up over some numbers?" His voice dripped with amusement. "Compatibility doesn't magically create feelings. I don't like you. Period." He pushed off the wall and strode toward the stairwell without waiting for the results. The physician emerged 30 minutes later, beaming. "Congratulations. You and that alpha have 95% compatibility. Exceptionally rare." I stared at the printed report, the glowing numbers failing to spark any joy. My text to Jacob went unanswered, like all the blue bubble messages dominating our chat history. Scrolling through our one-sided conversation littered with his indifferent K and whatever replies. The truth finally sank in. He genuinely despised me. I wandered through the hospital parking lot in a daze, colliding with a white-coated figure. The silver-haired doctor steadied me, his gold-rimmed glasses glinting. "Omega?" he asked point-blank. When I nodded, he leaned closer. "What's your scent profile?" "I don't know yet." Freshly presented omegas couldn't consciously emit pheromones. "You smell divine," he murmured, nostrils flaring. I recoiled, sniffing my sweater in alarm. Had this silver fox doctor just harassed a patient? I practically sprinted to my car. The Chase family SUV sat in our driveway when I got home. Jacob's parents had arrived unannounced, their expressions grim as they huddled with my parents in the living room. The smiles on their faces were impossible to hide. When they saw me, their grins widened. They'd clearly seen the test results. Only Jacob sat stone-faced in the living room, the odd one out. At dinner, our parents excitedly finalized the engagement. "We'll hold the ceremony after Jacob and Evan graduate high school," Mrs. Chase announced. "These two have grown up together." My mother agreed, beaming. With 95% sync compatibility, they're practically destined for each other. Jacob slammed his chopsticks down. "I'm not marrying Evan. I don't even like him." He stormed out before the last syllable faded. The room plunged into awkward silence. Mrs. Chase forced a laugh. "Teenage rebellion. I'll talk sense into him." Yet when we crossed paths at school next morning, Jacob's glare could have frozen lava. Clearly, his mother's talk had backfired. His friend from our social circle, aware of both my recent Omega designation and our family's alliance, asked during lunch, "You two grew up together. Now with the high compatibility, marriage plans." Jacob didn't bother looking up from his fries. Omega designation changes nothing. 95% means squat if I say no. The cafeteria chatter died around us. He meant every word from my ears. It stung. Being publicly rejected by your childhood protector? Yeah, that leaves marks. Jacob wasn't always like this. Born a month before me, he'd been my personal knight since preschool. When I cried during nap time, the 5-year-old Jacob switched classes just to hold my hand. For 12 years, I'd been his shadow, trailing after Jake with hero worship no Disney prince could rival. Everyone assumed our fairy tale ending, even me. Then 3 months ago, he presented as alpha. Our parents popped champagne, vowing to merge the Chase and Lewis families if I became Omega. But Jacob started avoiding me that same week. I'd chase him through hallways, weathering his cold shoulders, until last Tuesday when I overheard him snap, "Omegas are clingy nightmares. Can't stand them." Now in biology class, I slump at my desk as the teacher announces physical exams. After that fainting incident during track, the school's bringing in downtown specialists. She explains. I mentally scoff. My body's fine. It's my psyche that's crumbling. Especially after seeing that creep who said, "I smell so good. Fancy meeting you again." Logan spoke first, seeming genuinely pleased. I glanced at the ID badge clipped to his left chest. Dar. Logan Hayes, gland specialist. The epitome of well-dressed depravity. Wish I could say the same. I snapped. Logan's fingers brushed against the nape of my neck, deliberately grazing my gland. I bit back curses. He was still a licensed physician. Your gland likely won't produce pheromones. He paused dramatically. Unless what? I demanded. You'll understand eventually. He gestured toward the exit. Psycho. I muttered under my breath. People who leave sentences hanging like that probably have issues downstairs. The classroom door creaked as I returned. There was Jacob mulling some Omega against the back wall. Our eyes locked as he heard me enter. His smirk said another pathetic attempt to drive me away. As if I cared. Like I'd ever debase myself chasing after him. Our Cold War lasted through final exams, college applications, right up until the Lewis family went bankrupt. My father jailed. My mother hospitalized from the shock. The surgeon's words haunted me. We can operate. But I stood dripping in the Chase family's driveway, phone trembling against my ear. Jacob, please. I'll pay back every cent. Denied. His icy chuckle crackled through the storm. Our engagement's void anyway. Parents approved. The phone splashed into a puddle as I collapsed. Rain suddenly stopped pelting my back. Logan stood above me, black umbrella tilted against the tempest. His eyes held neither pity nor mockery, just that infuriating, all-knowing calm. He extended a hand to me. Want to come with me? Logan took me home. He arranged the best hospital room for my mother and scheduled her surgery for the next day. I listened silently as he coordinated everything over the phone. After hanging up, Logan stared at me for a long moment. I kept my head down, his intense gaze making my scalp prickle. How could I ever repay this life-saving favor? Gathering courage, I met his eyes. Logan, what do you want from me? I'll agree to any condition. Logan deflected the question. Are you legal? Confused, I nodded. Why did that matter? He gestured me closer. When I approached, he seized my wrist with one hand while tearing off my scent suppressant patch with the other. The cold air hit my exposed gland just before his tongue did. I shivered, heat flooding my body as his teeth sank into my neck. Foreign pheromones flooded my bloodstream. No, the room filled with sweet vanilla, my own pheromones revealed. Logan pushed up my shirt. Show me your sincerity. When I realized his intent, I squirmed away. Not this. His laugh held dark promise. Any condition. You said. His grip tightened. You're mine now. Sweetheart. I stopped resisting. I'd given my word. I didn't understand what 95% compatibility meant. But our bodies moved in perfect sync. Sunlight streamed through the windows when I awoke sore and marked. Logan lounged on the sofa by the floor-ceiling windows, cigarette smoke curling around him. Morning. The fresh bond made me bold. Aren't you supposed to be at the hospital? Took leave. He stubbed out his cigarette. I blinked. What kind of leave? Marriage leave. My breath caught. Proposing right after claiming me? How cruel to spring this on a freshly marked college freshman. Then wouldn't that mean I'm being kept? So does that make you my sugar daddy? Logan reached out to pinch my cheek. What nonsense are you thinking? You're my omega. Of course you'll marry me. But if you want to play these role-playing games, I'll indulge you. As if I wanted any of this crap. The next time I saw Jacob was at the university freshman orientation. Logan had somehow discovered Jacob, and I applied to the same college. The night before classes started, Logan went feral, like he wanted to devour me whole. So I showed up on campus reeking of high-concentration alpha pheromones. Jacob spotted me on the quad. I deliberately looked away as if seeing something repulsive. When I tried to leave, he grabbed my wrist. You've been claimed, he stated with unsettling certainty. I stared at him incredulously. Jacob's pheromones leaked uncontrollably as he glared. Eyes bloodshot. How dare you be with someone else when you're my omega? Logan materialized behind me, forearm hooking around my throat. He nuzzled my sink gland and chuckled. 95% compatibility? Pathetic. Trying to compete with fated mates. Through my peripheral vision, I caught Logan's smirk. Fated mates, the textbook definition of 100% compatibility. Alphas can't smell any omega's pheromones except their destined match after presentation. No wonder he'd reacted that way when we first met. Evan. Jacob spat. You replaced me this quickly. Are you that desperate? Jacob always did this, lashing out with cruel words whenever thwarted. His past kindness used to make this flaw seem trivial. But none of his kindness compared to Logan literally saving my life. Jacob. Logan released his grip. Jacob froze upon hearing his name. Ignoring Logan, he seized my arm. Evan, come with me. I wrenched free. Jacob, I'm married. Bullshit. He scoffed. You're 18. Nobody chooses marriage this young. That might be true for him. Not me. The moment he refused to help me, Jacob became ancient history. Jacob, I said coldly. Logan and I share 100% compatibility. Why wouldn't I want this? Jacob stood frozen in place. Logan took me to the freshman registration office. When Jacob finally snapped out of it, he shouted my name. Evan. I heard him, but didn't turn around. The moment he'd abandoned me to danger, any possibility of forgiveness had died. Walking beside Logan, I noticed the registration staff seemed familiar with him. Dr. Hayes, is this a younger relative of yours? The administrator asked. Logan answered without blinking, my omega. My face burned crimson. How could he announce something like that publicly? Didn't he care about being called a cradle robber? Evan, will you be residing on campus? Logan glanced at me before deciding he'll commute. Back in his car, I wondered why he'd refuse convenient campus housing when his hospital was far from school. As if reading my mind, he explained, I've purchased a townhouse near campus. Your mother will move there after discharge. It's practical. His tone brooked no argument. Also, I don't intend to live separately from my new spouse. Mention of Mom reminded me I hadn't visited her in 2 days. Could I see her today? Certainly. Logan merged into traffic. We should inform her about our marriage. I worried, what if she objects? His confidence never wavered. With 100% compatibility, she'll approve. He approved, right? At the hospital. Mom simply teared up while clutching my hand. My poor Evan, I shook my head truthfully. Logan treats me well. Mom, really? Reaching for an apple to peel. I froze when she asked, what about you and Jacob? Mom? The paring knife nicked my finger. There's nothing between Jacob and me. Never was. I stayed until twilight, only realizing at 6:40 that Logan had demanded I return by 7 o'clock. A taxi would take 20 minutes in good traffic. Rain sheeted down as I raced from the hospital. No umbrella. No cabs. Pulling out my phone to apologize. It buzzed first. Where are you? Logan's voice held storm warnings. Hailing a cab. Logan. Really? The downpour drowned his skepticism. Any success? Should any minute now. Then how come I saw someone standing under the eaves looking dejected? Logan approached me with a black umbrella, his shoes splashing through puddles. Again. This was the second time he materialized like some storm shelter, shielding me from the downpour. How did Logan always time these rescues so perfectly? Why did you come? I asked. By all logic, Logan shouldn't care enough to go through this trouble. Our relationship barely extended beyond clinical interactions. You enjoy getting sick? He countered, rainwater gliding down his sharp jawline. Of course not. My retort died when our eyes met. It wasn't until I slid into his Mercedes that I noticed his left sleeve soaked through. Streetlight filtering through the rain-streaked window illuminated his translucent white dress shirt, clinging to defined muscles. An unfamiliar tightness gripped my chest. The memory surfaced unwelcome. Jacob choosing to walk home, that other Omega he'd been kissing instead of me after my presentation. Yet here was Logan, whom I'd known barely a tenth as long as Jacob, doing what my childhood friend never had. Mr. Hayes. Why? To retrieve you. The car purred through flooded streets. I stole glances at his profile, the aquiline nose, the scar bisecting his eyebrow. Could anyone truly devote themselves to another like this? In 18 years, only 2 alphas had left fingerprints on my soul. Logan and Jacob existed as polar opposites. He didn't change his drenched clothes upon entering the Lewis family mansion. Instead, Logan produced a first aid kit God knows where and knelt before me. And, bewildered, I offered both palms. His grip closed around my bandage-free left hand with unsettling precision. Antiseptic stung before the bandage's crisp seal. How had he known about the potato peeler incident? Did he have cameras in my kitchen? This was beyond absurd. We'd entered the realm of cosmic farce. By the time I blinked back to reality, Logan already stood at the second-floor landing. Evan. I scrambled up the staircase. Hot water sluiced over us in the shower stall. His fingers tilted my chin, lips grazing the corner of my mouth. This time, I didn't resist. Damn biology. Damn fate-bound compulsions. Though exempt from dorm life, freshmen faced mandatory military training under campus lockdown. When I told Logan about the 2-week barracks stay, his nod held no surprise. Keep your distance from Jacob, he ordered, adjusting my collar. I nodded. No warning needed. Jacob's downpour betrayal still echoed in my bones, his voice colder than the rain that night. Let him chase his new Omega. I'd sworn never to let that particular knife cut me again. Yet Jacob seemed determined to prove exceptions to every rule. He began appearing everywhere, mess hall lines, field exercises, even coincidentally patrolling my dormitory corridor during heat cycles. After the instructor dismissed the class, Jacob emerged from the room holding a water bottle. Evan, this is for you, he said, though my lips were parched and I hadn't brought my own drink. I refused his offer. Instead, I turned to an Omega classmate nearby. Mind if I take a few sips? I'll buy you a new one later. The classmate agreed readily. Jacob's grip tightened around his water bottle before he walked away. My classmate watched his retreating figure thoughtfully. Are you too close? Not at all, I replied. Then why does he call you Evan? I took a sip of water before drawling. He's probably delusional. Undeterred by my rejection, Jacob approached again during lunch in the cafeteria. He set his tray across from mine. Evan, mind if I join you? I dropped my chopsticks. Appetite gone. Jacob, must you ruin my meal? His face stiffened. Evan, I stood abruptly, tray in hand. He scrambled after me, blocking my path to the classroom. When I tried deterring, he cut me off again. Evan, let me explain. Clearly, he wouldn't back down without a confrontation. Speak. That day, it wasn't intentional. I scoffed. So it was premeditated. No. Enough. Your excuses only make you seem pathetic. We're strangers now. I cut him off. His bitter laugh drew attention. Over a decade of friendship. 95% compatibility. And you want us to be strangers? He looked like some heartbroken victim. Though crowds were gathering. Students love drama. Especially involving Jacob, the campus's so-called Dream Alpha since orientation day. Isn't that Jacob? Half my Omega roommates have his posters. 95% match. If I had an alpha childhood friend that hot, I'd have pre-registered yesterday. The pre-registration system, the Bureau of ABO Matrimonial Affairs rule for couples with over 90% compatibility, automatically legalizes marriages at age 20. Meeting the gossiper's eyes. I stated coldly, I've already pre-registered with my husband. Jacob, stay out of my life. I slipped through the crowd before the whispers could escalate. By afternoon, campus forums exploded with posts about our tumultuous history, claims that childhood bonds couldn't compete with new flames. This would reach Logan within hours. I still remembered his fury upon learning Jacob and I attended the same university, how he nearly wrecked me in bed that night. Right on cue. My phone rang. Childhood friends versus new flames. Logan's deceptively calm voice purred through the speaker. I rushed to placate him. There's no competition. Obviously not. His dark chuckle made my spine prickle. We'll see. The line went dead, leaving me stranded in the eye of an approaching storm. I can't imagine the consequences after my military training ended. Since that day, Jacob disappeared from my sight. I only realized it when classmates asked about him. Frankly, it's better he's not hovering around me anymore. Less trouble that way. When the training concluded, Logan came to pick me up from school. He frowned upon seeing me. You've gotten darker and thinner. I checked my reflection in the car window. Seems so. A classmate watching us asked curiously, Is this your uncle? Logan narrowed his eyes, his gaze locking on me. I knew I'd be in deep trouble if I didn't answer properly. After thinking for a moment, I confessed, This is my alpha, my husband. The satisfied smile spreading across Logan's face could have lit up the parking lot. Wow, married so young. You two must have an incredible compatibility score. The classmate exclaimed. I nodded. Highest recorded. The textbooks call it destined soulmates. The kind where a single touch triggers irresistible attraction. Destined pairs haven't appeared in 50 years. The classmate's eyes widened. Evan, you're so lucky. Forced a smile. Lucky, that's debatable. I used to think I was blessed childhood sweetheart from a compatible family. Perfect social standing. Reality smashed that illusion to pieces. At least I found Logan. That night at home proved Logan's merciless side. He skipped dinner entirely, steering me straight to the bedroom. Say something nice and I'll go easy on you. He murmured, loosening his tie, swallowing hard. I whispered, Honey, I'm sorry. His shirt buttons popped open one by one. Good girl. Now take it off yourself. Days later, Logan accompanied me to visit my father in prison. The man looked decades older. How's your mother? Tears welled up. She's okay. Misses you terribly. I leaned closer to the glass partition. Dad, did you really do it? The unspoken question about Omega inhibitor tampering hung heavy. Wiping his eyes, he insisted. I'd never. My wife and son are both Omegas. How could I? The weight crushing my chest dissolved instantly. His denial was all I needed to fight for his freedom. I believe you. Let's talk about happier things. I forced brightness into my voice. I got married. His face fell. Not Jacob. Someone else. He helped pay for Mom's surgery. Thank God. He breathed. Can I meet him? I nodded to the guard. Logan entered respectfully. Sir, I'm Evan's alpha. Logan. My father finally smiled. My boy chose well. We chatted about how we met, the sanitized version anyway. Love at first sight. Sparks flying. Whirlwind romance. The truth involved more tears and legal documents. But some stories are better left polished. Finally, my dad asked me to step out so he could speak with Logan privately. I waited outside for Logan, who emerged just minutes later. I thanked him. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Without his intervention, the prison wouldn't have allowed my visitation given the severity of the case. Those defective suppressants affected countless omegas, causing massive social panic. Logan's expression remained neutral. Verbal gratitude isn't quite what I'm after. Confused, I asked, "Then what you want?" "The balcony," he stated calmly. I instantly regretted my question. Grimacing, I countered, "Not tonight. School tomorrow." The last thing I needed was walking around campus reeking of pheromones. That evening, Logan spent half an hour under icy shower streams before settling for bruising my lips into swollen submission. The next morning, he drove me to school as usual. Our relationship defied easy categorization. The 100% compatibility rating made his touch electrifying. Yet I constantly wondered, was this genuine affection or mere biological programming? Classmates' stares burned into me the moment I entered the classroom. "You're Evan." I nodded. "So your dad's that shady businessman behind the faulty suppressants?" Someone sneered. My fists clenched at my sides. "He's innocent. He'd never dash. Innocent people don't get convicted." "Since when do thieves admit their crimes?" The heckler interrupted. "No wonder you still ride in luxury cars after bankruptcy. Following daddy's footsteps so young? Rotten apples don't fall far." Their venomous words trapped me in a spotlight of shame until Jacob stepped forward. "You know nothing. Stop harassing Evan." His defense backfired. "Jacob, didn't you cancel your engagement? Playing night now?" Another voice jeered. If the Lewises were truly innocent, the Chases wouldn't have broken things off. I felt my body temperature plummet. The final verdict wasn't even out. Yet these vultures were already holding the execution. "It's okay, Evan." Jacob moved to embrace me. I stepped back. "I'm not fragile." "Jacob, remember, you're the one who shattered me first." Strong arms suddenly encircled my shoulders. Logan's breath warmed my ear. "Forgive my tardiness." His voice dropped to a protective growl. "No one harms my omega." The alpha's gaze promised thunderstorms as he addressed the room. "The Lewis family's case remains under judicial review. Defamation against my pre-bonded omega constitutes actionable harassment. Every slanderous word will be legally documented." For the first time since this nightmare began, I didn't feel alone. Maybe fate had been kind after all. Logan turned his lethal calm toward Jacob. "Mr. Chase, cease harassing my bonded. Perhaps focus on your own family affairs. After all, your father understands the truth better than most. Doesn't he?" I caught Jacob's panicked flinch. What did Logan mean? Was the Chase family involved in my father's case? Had Jacob known all along? My mind was flooded with questions, but I knew this wasn't the time to ask. At the very least, I'd have to wait until we got home. Logan had taken charge of everything, securing 2 weeks' leave for me. Considering the negative publicity my presence brought to the school, they had no grounds to refuse. "Why 2 weeks?" I asked him. "Your father will be released within that time frame." He stated with such conviction that it inexplicably calmed me. I realized I was becoming increasingly reliant on him. Is my dad's situation really connected to the Chase family? Most likely. His fingers paused on the steering wheel. Jacob's sudden change in attitude toward you was probably calculated too. I couldn't care less about Jacob anymore. Whatever schemes he had didn't interest me. "What about you? Logan, why are you going to such lengths for me?" Logan chuckled darkly. "My reason." He leaned closer until his breath ghosted over my ear. "It's you. Sweetheart, I had my eyes on you since that day at the hospital. The weekend passed quietly until my dormant high school group chat exploded with activity. Let's have a reunion. Miss you guys. Count me in. You won't believe the mess I'm in with this college transfer. Jacob and Evan, you two were our top scorers. Mandatory attendance. I had zero interest in attending some freshman year nostalgia trip. But when my old desk partner messaged privately, everything changed. The reunion's just a cover. Jacob's real condition is your presence. A specially arranged trap? I had to see what kind of ambush he prepared. The KTV lounge door stood slightly ajar when I arrived early. Inside, Jacob sat between two classmates, 3 empty beer bottles glinting before him. Where's Evan? His words slurred slightly. Dude, it's barely 5:30. We said 6 p.m. A classmate reminded him. Jacob's phone buzzed. Checking the time, he staggered up. Gonna get some air. I waited until his footsteps faded before slipping into the adjacent room's shadows. Yeah, Dad? His voice carried through the fire escape. Once I mark Evan publicly, they'll have to back down. No. Who could have predicted his connection to the Hayes family pushing this investigation? Fated pair. Our compatibility scores are high enough to override that. Besides, his laugh turned vicious. Evan belongs to me. The icy metal railing bit into my palms as he continued. Relax. Neither our family nor you will face consequences. Every word left me trembling with revulsion. The Jacob who'd refused to help during emergencies was nothing compared to this monstrous schemer. All those years of friendship, just calculated manipulation. Thank God I'd never developed real feelings for him. Otherwise, I truly wouldn't know whether to choose love or my father. But my dad would probably compromise because of me. I absolutely couldn't stay alone here tonight. I called Logan. Logan said, I have a surgery scheduled tonight. Though disappointed, I replied, it's fine. I'll manage. Really? He pressed. Ray, the light caught in my throat. I had to admit, right now, I desperately needed him. I needed my alpha beside me. Evan, you don't have to pretend. I'm sorry, this surgery was scheduled a week ago, but I've arranged security detail. They'll protect you. His calm voice traveled through the phone. He'd already taken care of everything. My racing heart steadied. At 5:50 p.m., I entered the private room where Jacob waited. Evan, you're here. Sit with me. Jacob smiled, moving closer. I took the seat farthest from him. Expression frosty. His smile faded. Are you still angry with me? That night, I acted impulsively. I regretted it the moment you hung up. I didn't believe a word. Agonizing moments always stretch time. I'd stood in that downpour for what felt like eternity, long enough for Jacob to never open his door as usual, long enough for Logan to find me instead. I should thank him for keeping it shut. Tomorrow would have been more excruciating otherwise. Jacob, spare the regrets. Without you, I never have met Logan. He treats me well. Stop dwelling on the past. We reap what we sow. Do better. I focused on the fruit platter. Jacob studied me through narrowed eyes before sighing. Must we be so hostile? Can't you forgive me just once? I kept my gaze lowered, radiating unfamiliar coldness. Fine, I forgive you. But some things are forgivable. Others aren't. You know everything. He mumbled. I didn't answer. Wincing, his friends began screeching off-key karaoke. Jacob kept drowning himself in liquor until he staggered toward the restroom. His path forced him past my seat. Predictably, he collapsed near me, discreetly activating the miniature camera I'd asked security to procure earlier. I steeled myself. Evan, help me up. He slurred. Just one last time. I obliged, supporting him to the restroom. The moment we entered, his hands turned invasive. Being male didn't spare me. His drunken strength overwhelmed my resistance. Why register with him? He growled, clinging like human adhesive. You should be mine. Evan. His arms locked around me from behind as he nuzzled my scent gland. The air thickened with aggressive pheromones not my own. Jacob was forcing an alpha's coercion. But I had long been marked by Logan. His pheromones had no effect on me. Why aren't you producing pheromones? Why? Jacob demanded. His teeth grazed my neck. You're insane. Pre-registered omegas are legally protected. This is assault. I've got nothing left to lose. Jacob's ragged whisper brushed my ear. As he lunged, I plunged the fruit knife from my pocket into his thigh. Ark. He released me, clutching his leg. Logan's security team swarmed the restroom, pinning Jacob against the tiles. I stared at his contorted face. Enjoy prison. Jacob, your father will be joining you soon enough. Logan's storm cloud expression greeted me after they hauled Jacob away. Apologize. Swear you'll never risk yourself like this again. I turned my face aside. I protected myself perfectly. Why should I repent? His eyes darkened with banked fire, silk tie binding my wrists. He bent me over his lap in our bedroom. Each stinging slap demanded submission. Say you're wrong. I'm not. My stubbornness dissolved into humiliated tears. Not when father was imprisoned. Not when mother lay dying. But seeing my unanswered messages glowing on the phone screen. You bully. Everyone bullies me. My choked accusation made Logan freeze. Gently, he freed my hands, thumb brushing away tears. Never bullying. Just terrified. Of what? Fated pairs are rare. If another's mark overrides mine, his voice broke. Evan, I could lose you forever. I stopped breathing. Besides my parents, no one had ever. I once thought Jacob might. Don't cry. I'm sorry. I love you. His lips traced the saltwater tracks. I love you too. I whispered into his collar. Father walked free as Mr. Chase entered prison. Jacob received 3 years for attempted bond violation. Over whiskey, father recounted decades of friendship with the Chases. The shattered glass echoed his bitterness. Every kindness hid schemes. Yet someone valued me beyond profit. I gazed at Logan's profile, remembering high school fears. Friends bemoaning heats made me dread presenting as Omega. How ironic that the very designation I resented led me to this man who cherished my defiance as much as my devotion. No, I'm also silently grateful to it. Grateful that it allowed me to cross paths with Logan.